Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation. Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this Black Friday, 29th day. I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. I know I did. I got Mad New Yorker back behind stage here. We're going to talk about, Matt Eberflus got fired this morning. So we'll go over that. Daniel Jones is now Minnesota Viking. And we'll recap last week and go over the biggest games in NFL and college football coming up the rest of this weekend. Got this big weekend ahead. So stand by. We'll take our first and only break. We'll be back here momentarily. We'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows, giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
All righty then, we are back here live. Got a lot to talk about tonight. Didn't want to do too many commercials here. We'll bring in the Mad New Yorker and have an applause. Hey, man, the crowd loves you, man. Wow, pretty crazy last week here.
Hold on. Come out. Did you watch the Raiders game?
Yeah, it's pretty tight. Pretty tight game.
What was – all right. Yeah. Let's go. What you got? Let's go.
Yeah, the Raiders lost. Kansas City won. Raiders gave them more than they thought they could handle. But remember, the Raiders beat them up there last year at Christmas, and they almost beat them on Black Friday this year. But that didn't happen. Chiefs won.
Did the Raiders make the right call?
The Raiders are eliminated from playoff contention. They're a quarterback away. I wouldn't fire Antonio Pierce. They've got a lot of dog in them. But the big news of the morning was we know about the 6-game losing streak, Matt Eberflus. A lot of bad time management issues. What's your thoughts? Now he's already been fired from the Bears on that part.
So here's the thing about first with the Raiders and Chiefs. I feel like that was a terrible call at the end by the refs to just end the game. There's too many things going on that play that went totally backwards. So the refs really blew that game to give the Raiders an opportunity to kick the field goal. So the Chiefs got lucky, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Eberflus getting fired. So last year, Chicago Bears were within the top 5 teams of defense. With points against the opponent scored, right? So they ranked in the top 5 in that. So Eberflus was doing his job, right? It's not like Robert Saleh where he wasn't doing his job and the defense was terrible. So he's a defensive coach. That was his thing. And then this year happens.
Well, Saleh's defense wasn't terrible.
Yeah,
They fell off a truck now.
Right, neither was Eberflus's until the
No, his defense was good, but you are the head coach and you got to manage that. That's the main thing. It comes directly on the head, managing those timeouts and not.
Yeah, well, they got rid of his offensive coordinator, which is okay because they weren't scoring any points.
Yeah.
They got two of the best, youngest offensive players with potential, and the wide receiver from Washington, and then the quarterback.
Odunze, yeah.
Yeah. So
of course, DJ Moore's playing really well.
Right.
Well.
So, and then they have a running back. They have a potential in one of the running backs that they have there. So their problem and their issues stem from a few things that are going wrong in the offense. And right now, what happened in that game, not controlling the clock, not calling timeouts. I'm sure that falls on the head coach for sure, but I'm sure that the players were just not everybody was on the same page. Like, you can't have the quarterback telling everybody to hurry up and people just lollygagging. So they either believe in their quarterback or they don't believe in their quarterback. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what offensive coordinator you put in there. You have to believe in your quarterback. You have to listen to the guy who's making the calls. So you can hire and fire coaches all day long. That quarterback needs to stand up and he needs to do something, and he needs to do something quick because if nobody's believing in him, then he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, man.
Yeah, he's freelancing out there. You need a guy to reel in Caleb. He's talented, but he's doing too much for a rookie.
But what did we say?
He's making some critical mistakes, and I'd get in his rear. For one thing, man, you can't be throwing the ball downfield like that when you got a timeout and you got that little bit of time left. I mean, what's he thinking doing that? Either run and get the ball out of bounds real quick or throw the ball at the sideline, but you can't do a play. That's the worst play. I don't know what his up with his – Eberflus is very passive with this guy.
Yes.
And you can tell – and I think he's a passive guy in general. Remember the guy wasn't lined up deep in the Washington game? They should have lost that guy. Should have won that game, but the guy they let the defender, the receiver there for Washington get behind the defense. And that's all on coaching right there.
Well, time out. If you guys are new to the show, you watch the past shows because we said these things about Caleb Williams. We said that he was talented. We said that he had a good arm. We said that he could be.
Yeah, he freelanced in college.
He could have been. He could be maybe the next. I wouldn't say Mahomes or Michael Vick, but he could be up there as a playmaking quarterback with Lamar and all them. But Jaden Daniels was a safer pick. We said that. You and I both said that, right?
Yeah.
We didn't. Did we not say that? Now.
Well, it was his injury history. I was worried about his thinness and potentially being injured. Jalen Daniels, but he seemed like to have a higher ceiling per se. And he was killing in college that last year, 54 touchdowns.
Yeah, we also said that it depends on his coaching staff how he would what would determine his status and what would how it would go for him in the NFL. So this is the thing that's happening. Like, these teams are not stable. These teams have very poor foundations and they're lacking leadership and and management skills to help these QBs in the positions that they're getting them at. Like, you could give the Raiders the next first 5 number 1 draft picks straight off the bat, but luckily right now they got Nerve Turner and his son there, so there's a little bit of a foundation there, right? Because you can kind of trust the Turner family a little bit because that's what they do. Yeah. But Chicago can't do that. They don't even have an offensive coordinator that they can trust. So
you need the offensive guy having the final say.
Right.
That's where I get the air quote offensive background head coach, where like O'Connell. What if O'Connell from Minnesota coached that Bears talent? I mean, they could probably potentially be in first place in the NFC North. That's really good,
Right, but
what about the Vikings coach?
Yeah, O'Connell did the best job by hiring a good defensive-minded.
Well, he got a great coordinator, yeah.
Yeah, so
we'll go over them in a minute.
Yeah, they're good, and that's just. But again, what is Chicago doing as far as How are they going to get better if they don't have stability in the foundation? You tell me that. It don't matter who you have playing in the offense. Look at what's going on in Dallas. The same thing. They turning over coordinators and they had talented players that want high contracts, but they can't do nothing if
a
they
lot
don't
of
have
that's the owner, general manager. I do think what
you don't think Chicago has a you don't think
what?
Chicago has an issue with ownership in their management?
Well, I think their management's pretty good as of right now. John doesn't like the ownership. The ownership's probably being, I believe him. I believe it is a little passive. And if that's true 100%, that they turned down Kingsbury and went after this Waldron guy, that is an ownership issue. I don't think they're as bad as that Cincinnati owner, but I think Ron Pohl's done a pretty good job. Look how talented this team is. Detroit's having a. Let me talk, man. It's my show. Calm down. I'll let you talk, brother. You've been cutting me off here. I know you decided tonight, but the owner, they're drafting good players, man. They came back from 23-7 on the road, and Detroit's the hottest team in football right now, other than maybe Baltimore offensively, and they're having a historical year. And they're about to tie this game up, man, So they just need to get a good coach here. And they're an attractive organization. I'd take a shot at John Gruden, I think he's the kind of guy that's got the moxie. And John said this too. I think that he's back in the public scene. He kind of faded for a few years. And he's on Barstool now. He's a young 61. He still looks the same to me. Bring a guy like that in there. I think that would really stabilize them. I think Poles is bringing in good players, man. I mean, they've got them on both sides of the ball. Now, Allen had a good day yesterday, but I think he's on the back end. But you got Rome Odunze, you got DJ Moore. That line is fair. You could maybe use another guard or right tackle, but other than that, I think they're pretty decent. They're pretty decent, man. And you just got to have somebody to reel in Caleb Williams. He's a little bit cocky for what he's done in NFL, but you need a strong – they would, like he said, it would be great to bring in Harbaugh. So somebody of that nature, but it is an attractive job. This is not like the old Bears where you got a bunch of linebackers and you have Rex Grossman at quarterback, who is a turnover machine. So go ahead. All right. That's my take.
No, the GMs is not the problem. The problem is the coaching and the is the owner giving the GM the opportunity to get coaching, right? Because he gave him the opportunity to get
and that's what we don't know for
to handle the draft, right? He gave him that opportunity, and he did. He's been doing a great job the last 2 seasons. I give him credit. Like you're right. They got a lot of potential. They got some hot draft picks. They
hit on most of them. They missed on Claypool, but they've hit on a lot of stuff, man.
Right. So if you're gonna let the guy get players, you got to let the guy choose coaching staff. So, like, I don't think he has that. I think he's tied down for one arm on that. To be honest with you, because if not, like Poles seems to me as a former player, as a one of the highest rated guys coming out to be a GM, not like Mr. Schoen over here in New York, but he was highly rated and highly looked up after. Because of his, background and because what he's been able to do, and I feel like they should give him the opportunity to choose a coach. Now, as far as choosing the coach, Gruden, I don't think the NFL is going to allow him to come back because of what they've had gone between them.
Yeah,
they
don't have any say in that.
I really do think he's blackballed from that same way. And plus, I don't know if he would want to come back and deal with that same way Mike Singletary didn't come back from what happened in the situation in San Francisco. So
what happened there? He just got fired. That's all that happened.
No, there was a lot of stuff that was going on that was said that it didn't end well for him with his taste in his mouth to try to. So
Gruden having a private email, had some racial remarks in it. You're not going to blackball a guy for that.
No, but he's being blackballed for the fact that
he is suing the league.
He sued the league.
So was Brian Flores, and he's with Minnesota Vikings,
Yeah, but his thing is different because he's suing the league for what his privacy, but the words that came out in that email is what he might have just got himself taken out of that situation because nobody wants to.
They
be
may be scared to hire him.
associated with a guy like that
Yeah.
who's saying those kind of words.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So
But he
I don't-
also was a consultant with the Saints for a while too.
yeah, but
Here recently, this is recently.
right, but being a consultant and
Before
being
their
a
coach got fired.
two different
There,
things.
everybody's looking for a coach. The season ain't ended yet. Well, Dennis Allen's fired. You know, it's interesting to see. Now, the next question is: Giants played better, but they still lost by 2 touchdowns to a pretty banged up Dallas team. Does Brian DeBall survive at this point?
I think it's one of those things that a lot of people want him out that are fans, but I feel like Mara's giving him that one little because we did go to the playoffs the first time. We don't have the team that you want. He might extend the olive branch to him. I don't think he should, but I think he will because it's too much to try to handle as an organization to be needing a new quarterback, be needing a new coach. And if you're going to get a new coach and a new quarterback, you're definitely going to get a new GM. So, I think the olive branch is extended at this point because that's just how the Mara family's done things. They don't really lash out and do too many firings like all together at once. They're not like a Jerry Jones family that does things like they consider and they look at the business side of things. And
Do you think they will can the ball but not Sheehan?
I think if they both go, they'll either go at the end of the season, both of them, or they'll put them out next season. But I think if one goes, they both go. Like I don't think that's a separate.
It would only make sense to bring the new coach, new quarterback together. And the ball got off to a good start, but I'm starting to think that maybe he's more of coordinator material, and he'll be attractive coordinator somewhere. It's pretty good.
I mentioned to you, I never trusted those two knuckleheads from Buffalo. You can't expect to win with guys who are not winners. Like you can't that's like asking a quarterback to be a number 1 draft pick quarterback when you drafted him 110 or something. Like you can't have the same expectations. Like that's not how that works. And so, and New York is a tough town, and you got to be, you got to have thick skin, and you got to be on your P's and Q's, and you got to know everything and dot your I's, because you can't just come in here and be like, yeah, I guess we'll do this, and that's not how that works here, man. And it's not, because the fans expect a lot more than what you putting on the table anyway. So you could give New York fans everything, and they still will want more.
Yeah. I think it's 50-50, man. Maybe 60-40. 60 mean the ball gets fired.
I'm okay with him and Schoen getting fired. I didn't have no skin in that game from the time they got here. So, you heard me. I wasn't going to go out to no Giants games, even if the tickets were free, to support that team, because that's not what I want to see on the field. That's how I feel.
Go up there and freeze to death for that product. Are you kidding me?
And pay, bro. It's not that I don't want to spend the money, but I'm not going to pay all that kind of money and be coming out of loss all the time, man. Like, you can only drink so much to make yourself happy. Well,
the Giants are number 1, the Raiders are number 2, and of course the Jets will be picking at 6. But I think it's leaning towards firing these guys, and Sheehan, he might get fired because of the way Barkley's looking so good with Philadelphia. This may be a situation like the Titans guy. Like the Titans, Amy Adams Strunk fired John Robertson because the A.J. Brown looks so good with the Eagles as well. What's up, Jeremy?
What up, Jeremy?
Good to see you. So I think they probably will, and we'll see how that plays out. I'd look for somebody from the Ravens general manager staff, or maybe the Packers.
The Giants might be
consistent for a long time.
Yeah, the Giants might scoop up some San Francisco personnel because
everybody's got Washington's got Frisco. The Titans have Frisco. I mean, how many guys are you pulling from? Kansas City guys are spread out all over the place.
I mean, look, you got to go.
Maybe somewhere. Detroit, Jeremy. Maybe get Brad Holmes' assistant up there. Detroit. I like what Detroit's doing from a player personnel standpoint.
Yeah, but they got to come. They got to want to come to New York, man. That's a problem. That's the biggest problem.
It's not looked good over the past 8 to 10 years. Up in East Rutherford, man. So Daniel Jones goes to Minnesota. You know, Connell's already has Darnold, Bradford. Sam Darnold, they kind of look alike. Sam Darnold, former Jet coach, is O'Connell like the, you know, they got the Mayo Clinic up there in Minnesota. Is this the rehabilitation for former quarterbacks who didn't work out in New York now?
Yeah, what I was reading also is that O'Connell was high on him in when they were doing their all their draft day reviews, and he had them listed as a quarterback that he wouldn't have mind having back in the day before he got drafted to the Giants. So he has experience. He knows about Cutcliffe. He knows about all these tools and everything that Daniel Jones is supposed to be, his personality and all that he's supposed to have. So if he's comfortable with him, man, and that's somebody that they can have as a backup, go for it. I mean, he wasn't good here because they didn't have good coaching.
I think
anyway.
he'd be a really good backup at them.
Maybe he'll end up throwing to the right players up. They got, if you can't throw to Addison, Jefferson, and the tight end over there, then you don't need to be in the league.
Well, he came back, looked good. Jeremy says maybe the third coach fired in the last 2 seasons after the Lions beat them. It could have been the fourth, Jeremy. I really thought that Peterson was going to get fired when you blow out the Jaguars a few weeks ago, but they didn't do it then. I'm sure Peterson's his hot seat so hot. Yeah. He's got burn marks on his rear end,
Jeremy, kudos to the Lions.
Brandon Staley, Josh McDaniels, and Matt Eberflus. Wow.
Yeah,
man, that's 3 guys that are not head coaching material.
Jeremy, you should be a Jets fan, man. The way you talk about the Lions. Look, kudos to the Lions and what they're doing, and they have a great winning streak. They're doing it up this year, but I still don't trust them, man. I trust them like I trust the Green Bay Packers. Like, keep them on either side of the country, because you can't bet on these people, man. Like,
the Jets.
You couldn't get to you had one of the best records, and you couldn't get to the Super Bowl last year. It's for Lions, man. The
Lions are going this year, buddy.
I don't know about they might go, but they not winning nothing. Like, you got to prove it to me.
If they play Kansas City, I think they'll beat Kansas City.
To me, it's like this. You got to prove it to me, and then I'll I'll support you and I'll give you your props. I'm not going to be a fan, but I like football, and I'll give you a hand. And you did a good job.
Yeah, Brad Holmes. I would check some of his staff. I would check out Ravens and Green Bay if I'm the Giants, and Giants got the number 1 pick, Schroeder Sanders, having a great season. I would bring in Cam Ward. This is going to be a lot of people's bring Schroeder all the way. I don't know, man. I think Cam Ward, I would give them 2 a workout, man.
If I'm the Jets,
that'll be a tight race for number 1 pick if it's me.
So both teams have like 10 to 18 spots that need to be filled. If I'm both of those teams, I sell, man. And I sell to Vegas. I sell to whoever wants Shedeur the most. And you put your team up, and you get your good O line and get you a good defensive line and build up the back end of your whatever you're missing.
The Cowboys keep falling because they're winning. It's going to be harder for them to come up. And quite frankly, just a side note, Deion's getting a lot of recruits now. They won their 9th game today against Oklahoma State. By the way, that guy from Oklahoma State, man, Mike Gundy, he might get. I thought they were going to have a great year, man. They're like 3-9.
I know that Oklahoma State team. Once they lost those 2 last seasons, they're losing more than 6 players, and it's hard to get these guys from the pool after they all want to leave the conferences that they're playing in. So, when they get a better opportunity to play in the SEC, man, you go there. So,
yeah, Deion's got a lot of recruits that have committed over the last few weeks. I still think there's a chance he may leave. Maybe Florida State comes open. I think that Lagway, I was almost at a lock in my head that this guy from Florida was going to get fired, the head coach there.
But
they're starting to win games now, so I don't know. Maybe they keep him because Lagway, that quarterback's really good at Florida.
Yeah, and the thing about Deion Sanders is like, and I think I mentioned this last week, like he's a winner, and he don't want to go nowhere where he can't win. He's not going to go, and it's not that he needs to prove people that he can win. It's just that he has that winning mentality, that winning edge that kind of comes off, and the athletes who are under him feed off of that. Like, he's won Super Bowls, he's won, in the college, like he's won on every level. He's even won with the Braves, division championship. So like everything Deion touches is positive because people are like, well, this guy's been through it and they believe in him. But he ain't gonna go
wrong. Turn it around. I thought with all the nonsense, it would be a distraction. They would fall off, but
right now he's not gonna go nowhere.
They got 3 losses. Don't get me wrong. They lost last week to Kansas, but they came a long way from a team that won 2 and 3 games that win 9 games.
Right.
Yeah,
he could possibly be like a Nick Saban if he sticks with it another 10 years, and they will want him, and they'll.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you got to win 1 championship.
I'm saying in a sense where Nick Saban went from Michigan State to Alabama, like he was.
Yeah. Well, no, he went to LSU first.
I mean, he went to Michigan State, LSU, and then Alabama, like
Miami, then Alabama.
Yeah, so something like that, like not, but he didn't do it overnight. Saban didn't do anything.
No, of course not. He started a lot sooner than Deion did, and I like Deion. I think he's made some adjustments inside that locker room. So the Dallas job may be, I don't know, McCarthy may stay. Now Jerry Jones. So now Deion going to the Giants, that'd be crazy. I didn't really think about that. And I don't know if I'm Deion. I don't know if I want that job.
I don't, I'm to be honest with you, as much as I like my hometown teams, I don't know of any person in their right mind who would want to work for any of those 2 organizations at the point where they're at now. Because you have to look at it as like, not only are you in one of the busiest media places in the world, but you're also now got to rebuild the teams that you're coaching. Yeah. Rebuilding a team and starting over is so much difficult than coming through and taking over. Because it's definitely a rebuild going on in the Giants organization. And the Jets are going to have to rebuild because they're going to lose all these players through the contracts that they have right now. So, it's going to be hard to keep all those players.
Giants are in a better situation, I think, than the Jets. The Jets got a lot of scattered brain contracts too. Rodgers dead money. Devontae Adams is an older player.
And you're right. Chicago is a better sell. I mean, I'm not too keen about being
Chicago's really attractive right
now. But that job looks like it's nice. It's a little bit nicer. So yeah. I mean, a Gruden would be a good fit, but that's just the one. What if Deion goes to Chicago? What about that?
I mean, I think Deion would probably fit up there. That would be an interesting one. You could go with a Bobby Slowick from Houston, but he's a young guy. You'd have to have a veteran defensive staff around him because he's only 37. So it's an interesting job. That's going to be exciting to follow. Now I think I'm cheap, and like John said, they'll probably go with somebody that's super super cheap and just not a really desirable coordinator. They'll go like the offensive coordinator from Tampa or somebody or
I mean, if you go offensive coordinator, you can pick up a guy like Ken Norton Jr. Man, I like that guy.
You've never heard of.
Ken Norton Jr.
No, Ken Norton Jr. Who is he coaching with?
He's a coach in college right now, but still, like I'll pick him up.
Yeah, I know Ken Norton Jr. He played for the Cowboys. Yeah, his dad was a boxer.
But everywhere
Dad beat Ali.
Everywhere Ken Norton Jr.'s gone, he's won or has been a championship at some level. Like you want guys like that. You want guys who could just feed off their energy and championship mentality.
And Lincoln Riley, I mean, his stock has went down, man. He don't look like he's head coaching material. His defenses, his teams don't look buttoned up. His defenses, he's already changed staffs a couple of times now. Well, I know he's already changed defensive staffs, and they get a little softer as the season goes along. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury's head coaching material.
No, I don't.
These are really good coordinators.
Yes.
So I don't know. Would they go after the ball in Chicago?
Slim pickings, bro. Slim pickings.
Yeah. You have to look at it and put a good search. I mean, it's still early in the game. we got all that stuff covered. I'm trying to see if there's anything on the horizon. We recapped last week. You shaved a couple of games off there, or a game. I'm up to down to 7-game lead on you.
One game.
Don't call it a comeback.
Not yet.
It's been here for years.
Not yet.
You remember that from LL Cool J?
Yeah. Mama said knock you out.
Trying to see where we can recap from last week, man. Daniel Jones benched.
Well,
things move fast in this league, don't it? I'll tell you. Let's see. What's your thoughts on San Francisco, Green Bay? I told you Frisco's a little banged up, to say the least, and Green Bay chomping at the bit last week. Got another win last night, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't trust Green Bay again. Like I mentioned before, I don't trust Love. I think last night that game was given to him. But whatever.
They played great last night.
You know, what they did was they came out swinging, and you gotta do that, which I never would see that from a LaFleur coach team because he's so passive aggressive. Yeah. But it was good to see that and then play football. It
doesn't seem like he was head coaching material, but maybe he's made some adjustments. You know,
the thing about him is he's in a division that allows him to be under the radar.
That's true. Yeah,
he's on a team that's not like the Jets or the Giants, so he can, if he makes mistakes, he can recuperate, learn from them, and still play catch up and still be seen. You know, not with such a camera, like such a little like lens, because the lens in New York is like, you're in a fisheye,
Yeah.
So, but he's in Green Bay. So
what about all these injuries with the 49ers, man? It seems like that age is really catching up with them, ain't it?
It's not just the age. I felt like, and I was wanting the 49ers to win because they had more talent on the field, and I thought they were better backups, but it just seems to me that they fell short on the defensive side of things. I thought that the defense was more shored up, but it just go to show that when they have injuries, it really does affect how this guy coaches, and I can't trust that. And they haven't been, as much as they've been in the playoffs, they haven't been in the Super Bowl too many times and been able to do anything because of that, right? He doesn't allow. He's too rigid. He wants to play his plays, and he doesn't take what the defense is giving him. Like, he's pushing his ideas so much.
You talk about Shanahan.
Yeah, Shanahan. He doesn't allow his team to just keep maximizing look. This guy came out, the tight end came out and had he had a game. They should have just kept giving him the ball.
George Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle was he was like a magnificent. You should have kept running the ball and giving it to Kittle. You would have been able to score 2 or 3 touchdowns more. But you're over there throwing it to the other side of the field to Jennings, and he's covered, and Debo's covered. Like, come on, man! Like, you gotta, if you've seen these things happen, you have to take advantage of these things, and they did not. That's not just. It wasn't just the players not putting out; it was also the coaching staff. The coaching didn't make the adjustments that was needed, man. I was frustrated because you could look, Kittle was open the whole game, like the whole game. It's like,
yeah,
it's terrible, man. It was terrible. But
yeah.
Green Bay won. They did their thing, and then they won yesterday. They did their thing. So kudos to Green Bay, and kudos to Jeremy in that division. And yeah, they're doing all right. But
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see towards the end of the season.
I said this the other day. Before that loss, I actually said I think that defense is so clunky, and Bosa's hurt a lot.
Yeah.
He's 27 years old, but when he plays, their defense is at another level.
Yes.
And I would actually try to deal him for like 4 or 5 picks if I can get it. And I would try to deal Fred Warner. And because you got to replace Trent Williams at that tackle. He's out again this week. And you're going to have to play Purdy anyways. Why not get younger on that defense and try to do the model that the Chiefs have done and start going with that young defense now instead of waiting. It's better to get a year or two early, move off a player, than a year or two late. You're trying to look a few years ahead of the game. and it just seems like they're very reluctant to move on from players.
Yeah,
and John Lynch being a former player, maybe he's a little too close. I don't know. He's the general manager, so they're going to have some tough decisions to make here. Definitely after this year, you're starting to see it now. Tear on this team. They've been to 2 Super Bowls in 5 years. They've been to 2 NFC championship games prior to that, and these guys are worn out. Some of these guys are worn out. I move off Kittle. I move off McCaffrey. Debo. I will keep Ayuk because he's young, and I keep Purdy because he's young, But everybody else is up for moving off of, And I got a feeling that Kyle Shanahan is Andy Reid 20 years ago. Very talented young coach with quarterbacks, but he's never had the quarterback with the arm strength. Remember, Andy Reid was fired from the Eagles, man.
Right.
He goes to the Chiefs. He gets a guy, this young guy the candidate for arm from Texas Tech. Now we're talking about him in the record books as being one of the greatest of all time because he's got Mahomes.
Right.
So it's the writing's on the wall for the Niners, and they need to step up to the plate and make those changes right now, or the fans are going to get frustrated with Shanahan. They're going to run him out of town, and somebody's going to pick up a good coach and get him matched with the right quarterback. He's still young. He's only like 4 or 5 years older than me and you.
Right.
And
here's the thing, Robert. Do you honestly believe in Purdy? Do you think that's your guy for the future, or you're just keeping him because he fits the bill? Like he's like right now, you're not paying too much for him. His contract's going to come up, and then you're just going to have to, Do you think he's a guy that you want for the next 3 years as a QB? Yes,
I would roll the dice with the guy. I think he's got good legs. I think he can get the ball field. I know he's dirt cheap and all that, but there's other quarterbacks that's had these situations, and you say, nah, that guy's not the guy, But I think Purdy is the guy. They've went through other quarterbacks, Brandon Allen, and I can't even remember some of these names. I think he's better than Garoppolo, don't you?
Depends.
Garoppolo seemed to choke a lot in these big games. Turn the ball over at key spots.
Here's the thing. Do you think you know what I see, man? I see San Francisco. I see Dak Prescott with Purdy. Same situation. Like he getting you wins. He's getting you like enough, and then you gotta have to pay him. But then he's not. Is he the guy who's going to take you to the promised land? And
I think Purdy's a little bit more athletic, but they're pretty close. That's a good in that.
I'm just saying the situation wise. So they're similar. Because Dallas is like, I'm not paying for another quarterback. They landed Dak Prescott.
I wish they would put him on more of an incentive-based contract and pay him $30, but they just won't. Nobody else is going to do that. I guess the agents won't go for it.
No, we should be agents.
The agents ain't going to go for it, but and I know they work for the agent works for them, but
yeah, man.
with the players union and all, I just it's crazy talk. But it would work better. But as a general manager, that's your job. You got to get ahead of the fray. You know what the market says. You got to roll with this guy, not unless you want to roll your dice and try to take another chance with a Trey Lance.
And
you know what I'm saying?
I'm just surprised these guys aren't in coaches' faces like, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do things. They're like, oh, you're the coach. You handle the teams. Like, that's not how you do. No, that's not how you manage, man.
Who are you saying in the coaches' faces?
Like, there's not too many GMs getting into coaches' faces.
Oh, okay.
Like
I thought you were talking about the players saying that.
No.
This ain't the NBA. That's why people don't watch the NBA.
No, I'm talking about because a lot of these coaches have their own anemone. Like they just on their own little island. They do things, and then when the season ends, they're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do next season. It's like,
well, what happened with Arizona last week, man? They really ticked me off, man. They took a step back, and I don't know if it's Seattle's defense playing well or Arizona kind of looking like the Arizona we know that fades the second half of every season.
Well, I look at it like this: like this is an Arizona team that's not used to winning. That has exerted a lot of energy in the last few weeks, and they had to come to a loss sometime soon. They just came to the day that we chose them to win.
Yeah,
like
wrong on that one
because they looked tired. They looked out of it. They didn't look like they didn't look like they was punching people in the face. They looked like they was getting punched in the face. So I don't know. I hope that don't happen again because
they really didn't use that. O'Connor, you got a line. You got a really good running back like O'Connor off a bye week. You just got to let him run the ball and feed him. And just, I don't know what it is about these teams. Everybody wants to run the ball, the shotgun constantly, time and time again. And I did like the way the Packers got up there. When they got on goal line, they got mano, put Love under center, do the guard over there, give it to Josh Jacobs, bam, touchdown. Let's stop all this finesse football.
And, Josh Jacobs, props to him, keeping it going, even from last year.
He's glad to get away from the Raiders, ain't he?
Woo! Let me tell you, and, like, the whole time I was watching him on the Raiders, like, oh, man, he didn't even got an O-line to help him, and he was still making yards. Now he got an O-line, and he's making double the yards that he was making when he was in L.A. and Las Vegas. I'm like,
but they won't do this in Arizona, and it's really frustrating. I felt like Arizona should have won that game.
But that just to give you an idea, man, this Josh Jacobs is in the top 4 running backs in the league, man.
Played really well for a while.
And all these guys who are on new teams who are the top 3 running backs, Barkley, Jacobs, and who was the other guy? And Ravens.
Henry.
Yeah. All 3 of those running backs.
Let's go to that Rams game. Good call there. I knew I should have took the Eagles. The Rams looked good for a half. Eagles leaned on that line. They leaned on Barkley. And Barkley has 200-something. I mean, God, he may get the rushing record.
But he's
great play there. Great play by Barkley and that Philly D. What's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, so I mentioned last time when we talked about this game that they had to find their identity, and their identity is actually running the ball with Barkley, and they need to go there.
Football, yeah.
And they did that. They allowed them to Barkley running the ball allowed for this guy to get a couple receiving yards and get some good throws down the field. The
AJ Brown.
Yeah, Brown. AJ Brown looked like a number 1 receiver again. Even with Devontae Smith missing.
Yes.
The only one who didn't play that well, who was on my fantasy league, was the tight end Goddard.
Yeah. I had him on an anytime touchdown. He let me down.
Yeah, he didn't do anything like this. But again, that defense coming through. That defense,
really playing
Stafford well. And they covered a lot better in the secondary. They didn't give much room. I thought I was watching a playoff game because I wanted to win this game because I called the Eagles to win.
Yeah, you called the Eagles to win.
And I was like, but we have to understand the Eagles have been playing well this season. So this is like another step for them forward. And if you can knock out one of the most up and coming running backs in the league, you can knock out Puka Nacua. You can knock out what's the other guy?
Kyrie Williams.
Cup. You can if you can like flatline these guys. Imagine the opportunities that the Eagles have to play like the rest of the season out. Like, do not count them out. The only people that beat the Eagles is themselves.
Yeah,
we keep saying
sloppy play, getting away from your identity,
right,
and throwing the ball too much. It's a good 1-2 punch with Barkley. They don't get away from it. They need to stay with it. What's your thoughts now? Now the Ravens, I was way off there too. The Chargers not ready yet. They need a few more players here. Need another off season. They're not ready for prime time. Really surprised the way the Ravens cut it up at the second half there. They're very physical too, and they went against a pretty physical defense.
Yeah.
Very good win there for the Ravens against this Charger team. I was wrong about that one as well, and that's where you got the edge for the weekend, anyways.
Yeah, the Brother Bowl, the
John's 3-0 now against Jim.
Yeah,
Jim's gonna get him. It's just not right now.
Yeah, and I think with the Ravens,
this time's coming.
I'm surprised they didn't run Henry more. They didn't give him as many touches.
That Justice Hill guy scored that last touchdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, but good job for Lamar Jackson putting the team on his shoulders. Trying to get it. I was surprised that they missed a field goal. I was like, whoa, this game is going to go longer than it needed to be. This guy missed a field goal kick, but
He's not as automatic as he used to be.
Yeah, he came. They came back. They settled down. Lamar Jackson did a really good job. The defense, you got to give them credit. Right now they're missing players. They looked a little bit raggedy, but at the end they put the pressure on and they did what they had to do, and they contained the offense, and they did well for that game, and that felt like a playoff game too. And I guess it's because I was the one that had a win too.
Well, no, they were really hyping that game up because of the brothers and
right.
Two good quarterbacks. It's a very good game. I actually watched it over with the I recorded and watched a little bit of it, but I went back and watched it on the Manning cast and watched Eli and Peyton and of course Bill Belichick for a little bit, not the whole game, talk about it. And they even had the who is it? The Wilson brothers, Owen and Luke Wilson on there. Going over this thing. You had brothers and brothers. And I tell you what, Lamar's pretty poised there, hitting Bateman like that for that touchdown. That was a very good throw.
Mark Andrews came
I feel like Jim was not aggressive enough with Jim Harbaugh's not aggressive enough with Herbert. You got to take advantage of their secondary, and they didn't take enough shots downfield. They wanted to keep landing on the running game, and that's not the strength there. That's their weakness for the Ravens is the big plays in the secondary.
Right. You're correct, and I agree with you. The thing was they were trying to control the clock.
Yes.
And they saw that, right? They played into the hands of that, because I was like, why are they not running? I was like, why don't you turn around and keep running Henry? But he got smart. He was like, let me throw the ball because he don't want us to have the ball. He's trying to control the clock. So he did. The brother adjusted to the other brother's scheming, and it was
John
great.
Was ahead of Jim. Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, and I love Jim, but plus they just don't quite they gave up too many plays, man, and that Charger team, I think I've kind of overrated them. They haven't really played that tough schedule, and they just don't have a lot of depth on that defense, and you could really tell, man. Another draft and another offseason, maybe they'll get there, maybe two. But they're close, but no cigar. Any thoughts on Indiana, Ohio State? Ohio State showed up and played, man. They got physical. They covered too.
Yeah, it was in that game I thought that the Indiana was going to put some more on them, but they don't have the depth, man. You could tell, and they gave them a little
big depth differential.
They had a little, 1-2 punch, and then that was it. It was like a Mike Tyson fight. They're like, that's all I got. It's like,
it looked good for the first quarter.
And then it was like,
then his legs got wobbly.
We said that, right? We both picked Ohio, so we said that, right?
Yeah. We picked that. I thought they would cover. Like everybody else was saying otherwise. Even Urban Meyer, I listened to him on Fox. He's, no, it's gonna be a 1-score game. I'm like, nah, man, Ohio State's gonna cover. Indiana ain't played nobody, and that coach is real cocky for Indiana. I'm like, what are you cocky about, dude? You beat Washington, who's down. You beat Michigan, who's way down, and you act like you hang the moon, and they found out,
Right. Well, he had a right to be a little bit like, beat. You come in, you in a club, and there's a lot of ladies, and you're like, but then a group of dudes show up. You gotta fight.
Right. Well, or he found out those ladies were actually, trends. They were actually men. But no, I'm kidding.
The lights came on. You're like, wait a minute, that's not what I was.
No, yeah. There was an episode of The Simpsons that would probably not be politically correct now. It's an old episode, come out about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer in the 90s.
Robert, times have changed, man. We gotta
times have changed, yeah. But there was an episode of The Simpsons where this guy was having a seminar and he's talking about saving money for the town on everything. He's like, man, look at this. We found this from that. We did this boat. This boat's a rental. And he says, you see those women up there? They're actually men. They're like, ooh. Oh, Simpsons is great. Okay. And let's see. Okay, this week's games. We'll start off with LA Chargers still right in the thick of the wild card race. Atlanta's barely hanging on to that NFC South crown there. What's your thoughts on that game? Who wins? It's a big game for both teams. Both coming off losses, too, by the way. It's at Atlanta.
Well, you got to give it to Atlanta. You can't expect to travel to a place where somebody just got kicked and expect to keep kicking them down, right?
Okay.
And then they just lost to the Ravens, right? So,
yeah,
I believe that when you play Atlanta towards the end, it's one of those things where they're gonna keep it close. They've never been a team where they just bow down.
Yeah,
and they'll always mess up your playoff position. So this is going to be a spot where Atlanta wins and messes with the Chargers playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. What's your score in that game?
I got that like 24-21. It's just a field goal. They're going to keep it close.
Okay. We're pretty close here. We're pretty close. Yeah. LA played Monday, and Atlanta got humiliated by Denver a couple weeks ago. Atlanta's home. Atlanta's off a bye week.
Mm-hmm.
J.K. Dobbins not going to play. He got hurt in that other game, by the way. So it'd be Gus Edwards at running back. But, there's a lot of injuries with 3 starters out on defense for this Charger team. Little bit depth issue there with this Charger team. I think Bijan Robinson for Atlanta has a good game here. And I feel like Atlanta wins 24-20, even though the Chargers are favored. I'm surprised you picked Atlanta, but I like Atlanta at home, too, to get the win 24-20.
Look at that.
Arizona's still leading the NFC West,
right.
I want to say, right? Or is it Seattle now?
No, it's still Arizona. I think they're up by 1 on Seattle.
Oh, okay. So it's really tight. They're jumbled in there now.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. Let me double check here. But no, it's Seattle. Well, they're tied, but Seattle's got the tiebreaker because they got the win.
Okay.
So Arizona still needs this win bad.
Right.
Minnesota's still trying. They're mathematically in it for the division. I would say the Cardinals bounced back after that awful game we just talked about. They only had 6 points against Seattle. But, man, I like that Brian Flores defense. Keeps teams – he's going to keep Kyler Murray a little off kilter. This will be an interesting game because I do think Marvin Harrison and those receivers for Arizona will have a good matchup against those cornerbacks. But too much Minnesota at home. 27-20, I like the Vikings to get the win here and stay right in the playoff race. Arizona starts to fade back.
Yeah, I have
come back down to earth.
Yeah, they're still playing inside, which helps Arizona because it gives them a little bit of they don't have to, think about playing in the outdoors. But yeah, this is Viking land. This is, I say 28-21, Vikings win.
You like the Vikings too?
Yeah, I think they're gonna, they're excited about.
I thought you was an AZ guy.
No, I like Arizona, but man, the Vikings are tough to beat at home when they play teams like Arizona.
They started playing that Viking horn, man. Only team I think could beat them is Jeremy Barks Lions. I think that's their only home loss of the year, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Remember, they beat a good 49er team when they was fully healthy. So they've really bounced back. I thought they was going to go on a loop. When they lost 2 straight, I thought they were going to fade, and they've stayed grounded. Minnesota has. So kudos to Minnesota. I like Minnesota. You like Minnesota. 49ers are hanging on by a thread. They play the Bills. There may be a giant snowstorm up in Buffalo, by the way. Get John to do the show from outside and see how many feet of snow's in the background, Bills are a touchdown favorite. Trent Williams still out again this week. Now, Brock Purdy will be back, but Bosa's out again. For the 49ers, Bills off that bye week. They're feeling good after beating Chiefs 2 weeks ago. 27-13, Buffalo Bills win. I hope it's going to be played at Orchard Park, but we'll see. I like the Bills to win and win pretty comfortably. What do you think? 49ers, Bills.
I think that's going to be like 27-24 or a tie. This might just be the first tie that they have. up in
But
Buffalo.
are you leading the Niners or Bills?
No, the Bills don't win this one.
Okay, cool.
Hey, give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Set up the other game.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Now Pittsburgh, folks, they're coming off of a loss here. They lost that last Thursday game against Cleveland, which I called that loss. But now they've had extra time off. They play Thursday. They've had that extra time off. Tomlin's good in these situations. This is another thing I like. They're playing the Bengals this week. They're playing at Cincinnati. I like Tomlin's teams that are underdogs. I really like the fact that they play up as an underdog. They play really well. Now, Cincinnati's favored. I'm talking Pittsburgh. Cincinnati needs this game. They're hanging on by 4-7. They're going to practically have to run the table to make the playoffs. They're off a bye week. They're at home. I want to pick Cincinnati, but I'm not getting fooled by that defense. I'm not. They ain't beat me again. I like Pittsburgh to bounce back after losing to Cleveland on that Thursday game. 24-19, Steelers over Cincinnati, and it's all on that crappy owner for not providing a defense for Joe Burrow. Does Cincinnati find themselves in that bye week and come out and play well against the Steelers, or does the Steelers bounce back and beat Cincinnati after losing to Cleveland last week?
Well, I think Russell Wilson got confidence back. He played in the snow. He played well. He's guys they believe in him. And Pittsburgh looks like they just are starting to score more points because they need to, get points going. And they're gonna do it against this defense. They got a lot of holes in it, man. And Burrow's he's gonna score. They're gonna score points, but I don't think they'll score enough, man. There's probably gonna be like 27-32 or something like that. It's gonna be high scoring. Pittsburgh? And I think Pittsburgh's gonna win this game. Yeah, because I mean, Cincinnati's got like a chance, but I don't feel like they can. Their defense is there to support what their offense can do. So
it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's a crappy owner.
I think both teams are going to play terrible defense in the secondary, so I think points are going to be scored left and right.
Well, they're playing really well offensively. They're scoring like 28 to 30-something points a game. Cincinnati, they're playing well.
Right.
This next game, I think, is the game of the week, man, in NFL.
You going with Baltimore, Philly?
Philly in Baltimore. Two impressive power running football teams that can throw off of the play action. You've got A.J. Brown with Philadelphia, Zay Flowers with the Ravens. Ravens got the best offense in the NFL yardage-wise as of right now before we started this week. The Eagles, same, both coming. They both had West Coast trips. The Eagles have 24 hours more rest than the Ravens. Ravens still hadn't had that bye week, man. And that's a big emotional game, as much as people want to downplay it, playing his brother. But I like the Eagles here, man. Ooh. I think the Eagles are built to beat this team. They're built to beat the Ravens. Ravens haven't lost. Ravens had that bye week. The Ravens are a little fatigued. If the Eagles stick to that power running game, it will blow open. And the Eagles, I feel like, have more depth this year at defense, and they're better on the back end as a whole. 27-23. This is going to be a great game. I know Lamar Jackson is 23-1. He'll be 23-2 after, I think it's a Sunday afternoon game at 3:25, if I'm not mistaken. 4:25 Eastern. 27-23 Eagles. What do you think about that? It's at the Ravens, so maybe they win. I don't know.
You trust Hurts to win this, to put the team on his shoulders and win this game?
Now, but yes. I don't think I'm not sure if Devontae Smith will be back.
Right.
They still got Goddard, and they still obviously A.J. Brown. They may double him, but A.J. Brown has played the Ravens several times with the Titans. And he pushes those Raven players out of the way and keeps going. So You look at Jalen Carter against that Ravens front line there. I think that's going to be a big mismatch for the Ravens offensive line. As good as they've been running the ball, this is a very good defensive line for the Eagles. You know,
this should be a Super Bowl game.
I'm going to record this game, dude.
This should be a Super Bowl game, to be honest with you.
This will be a great Super Bowl.
You could get Jamie all hyped up for this.
He's probably going to be there.
He's going to be there all messed up and flapping his arms all over the place. But I'm going to say this, and I hope this happens because this is going to be a great football game. I can't just fathom the idea of what Saquon is thinking in one locker room, and you got Henry in the other locker room.
Two guys coming from different teams, yeah.
Yeah, and then they both the best running backs in the league. Both of them
playing their best football, yeah.
And the difference between one guy and the other guy is that Saquon won't run people over. He might jump over people.
Yeah.
He might zigzag.
He might jump backwards over people like he did the other day.
Yeah, but he ain't going to run through people.
Who you like in this game, man?
I like this game to be 32-28. Ravens win.
I know you love the Ravens.
Whoa, but you know what I like?
You might be able to shave it till 6. Not unless we got to talk about that. We're getting close on time, man.
Yeah.
What do you think about Texas A&M? Texas, give your analysis real quick, and I'll give you mine.
Yeah, I think that they got 3 opportunities. A&M to do good. The quarterback's getting better. The defense is top rated, and on top of that, they're going to be playing at home. I'm giving this 27-24. A&M wins in College Station, and another upset to Texas at home.
Okay, A&M came off a 4 overtime loss to Auburn last week. What a game. I'm going to go back and watch that game. Connor Wigman, he may play, but I think they're going to keep this guy Marcel Reed in at quarterback. Texas, Quinn Ewers has a mild ankle sprain, but they still got Archie Manning off the bench. I think Texas got the horses to win this game.
You like that?
A&M's shown some fatigue. Remember, A&M lost to South Carolina. They lost to Notre Dame. I called that loss.
Mm-hmm.
I do like A&M. I like the fact they did. I think they beat LSU. Or LSU turns out not to be that great this year. 27-20, Texas gets the road win. You like the home team. This will be a great game Saturday night. I'm looking forward to it because I know that place is going to be loud down there.
College Stadium's going to be too loud to put on TV.
I would like to be in the background of this game and just kind of chill. I like if I could just go to the game and chill on the sideline and walk around. I want to go to Philadelphia and watch the Ravens or Baltimore and watch the Ravens. And then I would like on Saturday like to be at College Station just to see the atmospheres of these particular games, man. So
I wouldn't mind losing this.
So you might cut my lead down to 5 this week.
Yeah, and if I lose, I'm okay because I want to see it. I want to see him battle it out. I want to see. I think A&M can put the little screw.
They're really good at home.
Yeah.
If yours comes there and stinks the joint up early, you gotta yank him out and put in Arch Manning. You have the better team with Texas right now. So we'll see. We'll be talking about it next week, man. Have a good weekend, buddy.
I'll be texting you all weekend.
Yeah, I know. Now, the college game, wait, because I'll watch it delayed. So, Mad New Yorker, everybody. I loves you, man. Thanks, guys.